Just when you think you know everything, then you wander off or talking to people when you're supposed to be in the front. You don't remember when you're supposed to sit down, stand up. So thank you all for your varying kinds of help getting me back on track. I'm still learning this new work that we do together. And sometimes I get distracted. Speaking of distraction, that's what today's story is really all about, worried and distracted. You know, we have two sisters, Mary and Martha, and oftentimes, you know, in our society we like to pit them against each other. We would like Mary or Martha. You've got to be like Mary or like Martha. Linda, you know, one of the disadvantages to being married to me, you can talk to Linda about this after worship, is we were on our way to the farmer's market yesterday, and she said, "So how is the sermon going?" This is not a question to ask me on the day before the sermon, because you will get this is what I'm thinking about talking about, and this is where we're going, this is where I think it's going to go, this is what Martha is all about, this is what Mary's all about. And so we had this long conversation in which Linda said to me, "I feel like I'm more like Martha. You know, I am busy with many tasks." And I want to, first of all, say to you, in this story, we always just say, Mary's the good one, Martha's the bad one. You know, she's the one that gets chided by Jesus. The truth of the matter is, it's not that either one of them is good or bad. It is that there are two sisters and there are two ways at war within us of being. One is the way of being present where we are, when we're talking to people, when we're with people, we're really there. Or have you ever been with someone that you were talking to and they were looking at their watch constantly because they needed to be somewhere else? Or, God forbid, you're at a conversation at the table, as I am periodically chided, with, you know, that magical little computer that you hold in your hand that fits in your pocket, that you're reading something while you're supposed to be eating with your family. And Linda has told me that she's going to put a basket in the other room. We're going to be putting our phones in the other room if I don't start behaving. How easy it is to be distracted. Jesus is not chiding Martha because she's busy, because she's working. That's not the issue. The issue is because she is worried, anxious, and distracted. Distracted by, are we going to finish on time today? Distracted by, am I going to tell you this? You know, sometimes I get in here and I realize I just need to have a bulletin down there, a bulletin up here, maybe a bulletin over there in case I go over to talk to Troy. You know, you never know, because I need to know what's happening next and whether there's a plus sign next to it or not, so I can tell you sit down or stand as you're able. I can easily get distracted, and that's the challenge. That's the challenge for all of us. If you just look at the picture of Jesus throughout the stories in all the Gospels, when somebody stops him, he's not worried about where he's supposed to be down the road. He's with you. So if one of you stops me before, you know, if I'm on my way somewhere, even if I'm supposed to be somewhere else, chances are pretty good I'm going to stop and just talk to you, because that's the model of Jesus. But how many of you, somebody stops you and it's like, I got to be back over there. I'm sorry, you're not important enough for me to stop and chat with. You know, it's very easy to get bound to our calendars, to our schedules, and forget that the relationship is the most important piece. This warring sense inside of ourselves tells us, our society tells us, we are measured by what we produce. I'm not saying don't produce things. That's a good thing. I want you to produce things with your life. I want you to produce good fruit. Those are important things to do. But you also have to remember, God made you to be you. And if you never take time to be that person before God, you miss out. You miss out. We don't need we need production, but we also need humans who show up like Mary and sit at Jesus' feet and just listen. Listen. How many of you have ever been distracted? Show of hands. Ever been distracted? How many of you find my sermons distracting? Go right ahead. There we go. You know, you could be really living your life and suddenly got to listen to this guy for, however long he talks, which can be a long time sometimes. But the truth is, there are ways to practice being present. Jesus went off by himself every morning. That's the model we see in Scripture. He went off by himself every morning. Now, he'd start early in the morning, and maybe he did a couple hours. Maybe you're thinking to yourself, I ain't got a couple hours, James. I ain't got a couple minutes. Do you have a couple of seconds for the Lord in the morning? Just to slow down long enough to say thanks. I'm so thankful I got this new day. I'm awake. When you wake up in the morning, it could be the very first thing you say. Thanks, God. A new day. I'm awake for this. I'm alive for this. I'm engaged in this moment. Thanks for giving me a new moment to be in. Now, almost immediately upon waking up, I'm already thinking about my schedule for the day. What's on my day? Where do I have to be? Do I have to meet the guy on the roof again? This week was not, I thought I was going to go on the roof for the water test, but no, they put a big ladder on the outside of the building instead of the ladder that came up on the inside of the building. So James said, not climbing the super tall ladder. I just saw the article in the Fall Church Times. Pastor Dave leaves, Pastor James comes, falls off a ladder. I just didn't want that to be the first story about my work here. Falls off the ladder. We get ahead of ourselves. That's what anxiety is in our lives. We're thinking about something that's coming for us, and we get worried that we're not going to be able to meet it, that we're not ready for it. So it takes us right out of the moment we're in and into the future, a future that doesn't exist in anyone but God's time. Doesn't exist for us yet. Yes, you have it on your schedule. Guess what? If you're going to drive somewhere, you might not make it there on time. It could be on your schedule, be there at 2 o'clock, and you may think, well, Siri told me I could be there in 15 minutes. Yeah, that was at 3 o'clock this morning. This is Northern Virginia. 15 minutes could become 15 hours. You might as well walk where you're going sometimes. That's the truth. You get distracted by what's coming. It's not here yet. The best way to prepare for whatever's coming at 2 o'clock this afternoon is to be here right now, where you are right now, to live as fully as you can in this moment. Now, maybe it is, I got a meeting at 2 o'clock and I need an agenda. When I met 2 weeks ago with our education team, and Jeff and Linda came in to sit down, and Jeff gave me like a 2-page agenda that he wanted to talk about education here. And I looked at it in advance and thought about my thoughts, but I knew when we got together, it was going to be a live experience. Jeff and Linda were going to share with me their concerns. I was going to share with them what I thought, and it was going to be a conversation. You can't prepare for a conversation. You can't prepare to be in something that's going to happen later on, except by being present now. If you can practice presence now, wherever you are, whenever you are, you can be there. The challenge for Mary and Martha is that Mary was fully there. Martha was worried and distracted. So the question for us to carry into this week, what is distracting you? When you're talking to someone, what are you really thinking about? Are you in the conversation with them? Josh, my son, he's 28, and when he enters into a conversation with me, he'll call me if I'm not in the conversation with him. At 28, he knows. I don't know, he has that kind of radar. Dad, where are you? Because I'm talking to you now, and I don't think you're here. Now, most of the people you know are not going to call you out that way. They're not going to say to you, when are you going to show up? But you need to show up wherever you are. Let's not shame Martha and, exalt Mary, but instead see that we're both of those. They're both going on inside of us. We'd love to be able to just sit here for a moment and be quiet, be present with each other, know that we're here. But chances are pretty good You're already thinking about your brunch later on today. If Josh were in town instead of on a golf trip, I would be thinking, I wonder what he's making for us at home today. Right in the middle of the sermon, I might be thinking that. Guess what would happen? I would lose track in the middle because I wasn't with you. So I get up extra early on Sunday morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, to begin praying so that I can be here with you when I'm here. So that when I show up after having spent time, this is not to pat myself on the back. This is what I have to do if I'm going to be here with you. What do you have to do to be in the places you're going to be this week? At work, at home, when you go shopping. How many times do you forget things in the grocery store because you either didn't make a list or because you were distracted by the other thing that oh, look, chocolate croissants. Yeah, Linda did not put that on the list, James. Chocolate croissants are not there. Chicken is. Chocolate, chicken, they both begin with the ch sound. Don't they both work? Apparently not. Don't let yourself distracted and in trouble by picking up croissants instead of chicken. Look for the distractions in your life. And when you find them, let them go. Don't worry about when you're having a conversation with me or with Keith, with anyone you're with, be in that conversation. Sit at the feet of the Lord. Make time in your day. Set a little timer on your watch. If it rings at noon, fine. Just take a moment, be there. God, thanks for getting me through the morning. Thanks for getting me through the day. It's a practice. You may say that doesn't sound like much, but you practice a little and you get better a lot over time. Patience. Sit at the Lord's feet. So look for the things that distract you this week and look for ways to show back up in a conversation you've already wandered off from. Let's not, take Martha out and tie her to a stake and set her on fire, because all of us have a Martha inside of us that thinks the only thing that values us is how much we produce. But you're already a gift for who you are. For who you are. So be and do. Not be or do. Be and do. And try to be less distracted, less worried. Be present. Be present where you are. It's the essential thing. The word that's translated, she has chosen the better way, can also be translated, she has chosen the essential way, the necessary way. It's necessary for us to really be where we are. So be there. Be there. For now, be here. So this week, your assignment, show up. Show up in your own life and in the lives of all the people you'll be with. So those are things to remember.